Hello, everybody. It has been a while because I've been in a transition period with a new part-time job and reevaluating my mindset and coping mechanisms and all of that. So I'm back to check in with you. I started a part-time job about a month ago, I guess, and it's going great. I love it, love it, love it. It's wonderful. And I have been off plan for a while, and I did put some weight back on. And I knew I was going to get it under control, but when you're in a big transition, there's only a certain amount of intense things that you can focus on at one time. So I was finally able to get a breather toward the end of last week and really evaluate my frame of mind and my commitment and just take a look at when I'd had success in the past and when I had not, and so that I can make some changes. And so I, in fact, did that, and I started making some changes really right away toward the end of last week. One of the changes that I made was to begin tracking some things some more, and I want to talk about that. Many of you know that I have a history with the diet called the HCG diet. Some of you have experience with that, or you've heard about it. It's a controversial diet. I'm neither recommending it nor slamming it. I had success with it. I liked it. A lot of people hate it. I find that people that hate it don't actually know much about it, or when they tried it, they didn't do it the right way, because it is a very specific diet with very specific parameters for it. And it is good for very overweight people to lose weight quickly and to get healthier right away if they, anyway. So that's that. So I tried HCG several times. I never really got back up to before the first time. But because of emotional eating and that kind of thing, and before I knew really about carnivore, my weight still went up and down. So I lost a bunch of weight probably 3 years ago on HCG, and then I didn't know what to eat after that to keep from gaining the weight back. And that's when my husband said, Jordan Peterson just eats meat. And that's when I found out about carnivore, and here we are. But there's still the emotional eating. There's also finding out which foods you might react to more than others, and how reactive you might be to dairy or caffeine or egg whites or any of those types of things. So there's still a learning curve. And I want to say that a lot of people tout carnivore for a reason. One of the reasons is that you don't have to track anything. And that might be technically true. If you just eat carnivore food and mostly meat, and then just hang in there, you'll be fine. But there is this beast of our mind, of our lizard brain, as Kelly Hogan calls it. There is something else that it's not just, I don't just get up and then go on autopilot with the pre-planned foods every day. And if you're watching this video, you probably don't either, although some of you might, and that's fantastic if you have that frame of mind and amount of self-discipline. Some people do, and congratulations. But I am not one of those, and I've got to have a bag of tricks up my sleeve to keep myself on track. And I also have to have some grace, because I know that from time to time I'm just going to get off track, and indeed I did get off track. So I was trying to think about what I loved about the times when I was on HCG. I was optimistic. I had good results. I felt good. I didn't cheat during the time frame that I was on HCG. And I thought, well, I don't want to go back to HCG, but how can I harness some of those things so that I can have success on carnivore and get back to what I really need to be doing with what I'm choosing to eat? And with HCG, you have to track yourself. You have to weigh yourself. Most people weigh themselves every single day while they're on the HCG diet. Some people just weigh themselves once or twice a week. It depends, but most people weigh themselves every day. And you have to keep track of your calories. I know that's a bad word in the carnivore community, but here I am saying it. Calories. Calories to some extent do matter, because at some point you can eat too much. Calories is a way of quantifying food. And I'm not gonna run away from that word. We know it's not calories in, calories out, but to some degree, the amount of food that you eat counts. So on HCG, you have a restricted number of calories that you eat, and you've got to write that down, and you have a very small list of which to choose from. So that was another thing. HCG was simple in that I didn't have a wide world of recipes to choose from. Some people do post some really delicious HCG friendly recipes, but I didn't really go there. I just had my ground beef and a vegetable to keep it simple, because you can fall down a rabbit hole real fast with those recipes, especially if they're hyper palatable. So that was that. So tracking weight, tracking the amount of food or the macros, something related to tracking the food. People are encouraged to track their measurements, because on HCG, you lose your visceral fat first and fast. And you also kind of do on Carnivore. And what else is there tracking? I can't remember what else we're tracking. In any case, so last Friday, I got back on my scale, and I faced the beast. I faced the dragon that I'd been avoiding for a few months, actually. And it wasn't as bad as I thought, to tell you the truth. I imagined a very big number, I think, to save myself from disappointment, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. But I had put on weight, and I do need to lose, 25 pounds, maybe 30 pounds, something like that. So I'm going to do it. So I have not tracked my food yet. And the reason I haven't tracked my food intake yet, two reasons. One is that I had made a bunch of Carnivore chicken fried steak, and I don't have a way of measuring that. Like, I don't know because it's got different ingredients in it. It's breaded with pork panko, an egg, and Parma cheese, and I didn't really measure all of that and then divide it up. I didn't do all of that stuff. I don't have time. So I've been eating that, but I don't know any calorie intake or anything. So what I've been doing, and I had a big plate of that. I cooked a big batch and I put it in the fridge. And then I just ate leftovers cold. I just stood at the counter. I'm an empty nester. My husband and I have different eating schedules, so I would just get that plate out, stand at the counter with a paper towel, and eat till I was full. As soon in the day as I was hungry, I began to eat, and I ate mostly those until I was full. And then maybe I would have a couple of deviled eggs. And then later in the day, if I got a little munchy, then I ate maybe about an ounce of brie, because I had some brie on hand. I was having black coffee in the morning, and in the afternoon a sparkling water, and then I might have a half calf or decaf cup of coffee with a little half and half in the afternoon or early evening. And people are going to say stuff about that. You know what? I don't care. I have to do what I have to do. If you don't need to drink the half and half, if you are going to be worried that I'm having a little caffeine later in the day, I hear you. I'm trying to just stop the Diet Coke that I'd started eating, stop the little cheats I'd let creep back in. And honestly, I developed an aversion to red meat, and I was not therefore getting all my nutrients in. I would cook these delicious steaks for my husband and on Sundays for my father-in-law and my two grown sons, and they would eat them up and talk about how delicious they were. And I was looking at them like, I just don't want one. I don't want one. And I was not getting any nutrients. But this chicken fried steak, I bought all these thin cut steaks that were on sale at Tom Thumb, and I made a Carnivore chicken fried steak, and I made a bunch of it, and I ate it until I was full for many, many days in a row. And I just made another smaller batch that'll get me through another 1 or 2 days. And I felt really great, because that now, earlier in the day, I would say mid to late morning is when I get hungry, I was filling myself up with red meat. And that's what I need. That's what I needed. So that seems to have gotten me back on track. I started that late last week along with weighing myself. Oh, I tested my blood glucose and ketones last week. My blood glucose was okay. It was 92. Even when I'm doing really well, my blood glucose is anywhere from like 78 to 105. It just varies. So it was 92, but I was not in ketosis. I had very low ketones. So I'm going to wait a few more days, just because those test strips can be expensive. And so maybe next Friday I'll test for ketones again to see if I'm in ketosis. I might have to do a fast for a day or two to get into ketosis, but we will see. What I need right now this week is to just eat as much red meat as I can make myself eat. And I also had those Polish sausages from Costco that are pretty clean ingredients. Those are another thing I do like to eat that are easy to eat, to prepare. And so I ate that. So I've really bumped up my nutritional intake the past few days, and with food that I like to eat. So the challenge is to keep all of that up, because I am working part-time, and then I'm running a couple of side gigs and supporting my husband in terms of admin for his yoga teaching, and he's writing a book, and we have a dog and 2 sons and a father-in-law who needs a small amount of care. So all right, so that's all that. That's where I'm going. I have lost 4 pounds since Friday, and I'm recording this on, I think it's Monday evening. So I've lost 4 pounds since Friday, not measuring what I'm eating, but definitely being very clean with what I eat, cutting out the Diet Coke, absolutely no cheats of any kind. I've had some dairy, but I've reduced it. I've had a lot of red meat. I think it is the lot of red meat that is the actual reason for the weight loss. I think it has just triggered a release of inflammation and a relaxing of my body by just eating a lot of red meat. And so I've got to just, make sure that I keep doing that. And I think that the taste for the beef, like just a plain steak or whatever, will start to come back over time. I recently bought a lot of meat on sale. I've got a lot of very good steaks in the freezer cut and ready to go. It's just that I wasn't wanting them. So I think that taste will redevelop. And now I know what I need to know. So I am going to track myself. When I'm not eating foods that I've prepared but make it hard to measure, then I might start tracking the food again, especially if I start to see a stall, or if I don't have a good handle on how much I'm eating. Maybe I'm way under eating or way overeating. In Kelly Hogan's groups, when these women actually sit down and write up what they're eating, a lot of them are finding out that they're under eating by 500 or even 1,000 calories a day. And so that's one reason why she encourages people to track their food. It's not to be on a calorie restricted diet. It's to ask yourself, are you eating enough? Some women are eating too much, and they might have to adjust backwards, but with Kelly is like, a lot of women are not eating enough because we're just so used to portion control, we're afraid. Oh, another thing I did, there was that whole stick of butter a day, and everybody was like on that kind of wagon for a while. And Dr. Elizabeth Bright clarified her stance on that, about, she wasn't necessarily saying all women need to start eating a stick of butter a day ASAP. That's not exactly what she meant by that, but a lot of people just like added butter back. I never really jumped on that bandwagon, but I do love butter. If I had eaten enough meat, I felt like, and protein in the day, but I was still like, maybe I was feeling a little emotional or stressed or something, later in the day I would have half a stick of butter. And here's where some of y'all are gonna get mad at me, but I can't care. I had some powdered monk fruit sweetener left over from the holidays. Normally I don't keep any of that in the house, but I mashed about half of the stick of butter into a little bowl, and I sprinkled it with a little bit of that powdered monk fruit. It helped just kind of nip a carb craving in the bud, and gave my brain a little bit of nourishment. And I did that 3 or 4 of the past few days, and I still lost 4 pounds in 3 days. So that's okay. I'll have to stop that monk fruit at some point. But right now, as long as this is helping me, I'm going to keep going. And when I start to hit a stall, and I seem to be sitting at that stall where my body's asking for an adjustment, then I'll reevaluate all of those things and then make an adjustment that way. So that is what's going on here. So here we are, mid-April, and I feel like I've still just been recovering from kind of gradually falling away a little bit over the holidays. And there's my Instant Pot. I've got hard-boiled eggs in the Instant Pot, and I'm going to turn them into deviled eggs. That beeps so many times. I know, I hear you. In any case, I'm about to make a bunch of deviled eggs. I keep those on hand for myself and for my husband. So I'd like to know where you're at. Did you fall off the rails at the holidays and then get back on track? Did you fall off the rails and it's been kind of a tricky situation for you ever since? Did you kind of stay on track mostly? I would love to hear what everybody is going through right now. Do you need to reset right now? Has your mind just totally fallen off of all of this? I'd like to know. Also, some of you, sometimes you guys don't hear for a while about my husband or from my husband or see him in a video. It is hard for us to get together at the same time to do a video update together just because our schedules are crazy. And he is still on carnivore. He had gone on carnivore for a month last fall and then went kind of off of it. I would say he was sort of meat first, carnivore first, eggs first. But then he did have some things that were not carnivore. The snoring had come back. And then he went back on carnivore. I think he's on day 40 or 40 something right now of carnivore. I think he's had one day where he had some probably 2 days in the past 40 days where he had some non-carnivore food. But mostly that. He's been having more liquid dairy, like half and half in tea or in the Element chocolate hot beverage, or maybe a decaf coffee or half calf coffee. He knows he needs to cut back on that because the snoring, when he started back again about 40 days ago, the snoring went away briefly and then it came back. Now, he hasn't snored for 2 nights in a row now, which it had been weeks of snoring every night that had come back. So I don't know if we've turned a corner or not. We will see. But he has cut back. He was not a coffee drinker. He married me. I got on carnivore. He got on carnivore. He started drinking coffee with me. I'm a terrible, terrible influence, guys. And he tolerates caffeine less well than I do. So he's needing to cut back on the caffeine. And maybe it was the caffeine or the caffeine in combination with all the half and half that he was putting in there, because he wasn't really drinking his coffee black like I do most of the time. So we'll see. In any case, he's gonna go 90 days. He's probably not gonna be totally perfect all 90 days, but he's gonna be 95% perfect in the 90 days. And then he's going to evaluate whether he wants to add something back in or keep going. So I'll let you guys know if he and I can get together at the same time. We will do an update video together. Otherwise, I'll just keep you guys informed with what he's doing. He's pretty happy with it, and he's not eating fruits or vegetables or grains or none of that stuff. He's eating mostly red meat. I try to keep cooked steaks in the fridge ready to go. He's eating some amount of bacon. He's eating deviled eggs or sometimes scrambled eggs. Sometimes I'll make chicken wings, and so he'll eat that sometimes, but so that's mostly what he's eating, and he's doing great. He's enjoying it. So that's it. That's the update for me, and I'd love to hear an update from you. I will put links to my scale and my Keto Mojo and all of that. Those are affiliate links. If you click on those, and purchase something through that link, I do make a little bit of money at no extra cost to you. So I'm not a shyster. I'm not selling a diet program. I'm not selling pills. I'm not selling coaching. Although some of the people that are selling coaching should be selling coaching because they're doing well. So there's no slam on them. I just have affiliate links. And then if you click on those and buy something, I get money for more meat for my household. So that's it. I'm Texas Donna. I didn't do an introduction at the beginning. So if you've watched all the way to end, thanks. I'm Texas Donna, and I'm in my 50s, and I'm going through menopause, and I'm tackling carb addiction, stress, all those kinds of things with diet in a very flawed way, and being open and upfront with all of you guys about it. Love you all. Bye.